Hey friends! Before we dive into today's story, A Day in the Life of a Roman Slave, I'd love if you hit like or subscribe. It's a simple way to let me know I'm keeping you good company. And drop a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is there. Alright, let's step back in time into the streets of ancient Rome and walk in the shoes of one enslaved in that world. The city of Rome still rests under a blanket of darkness, though rest is not quite the right word. Even in its sleep, the city hums, a soft rhythm of distant wheels on cobblestone, a donkey braying somewhere beyond the walls, and the quiet thump of a baker kneading dough before sunrise. Rome never truly stops, it only changes tempo. In a cramped room at the back of a grand house on the Esquiline Hill, a man named Marcus opens his eyes to that rhythm. He is a slave, one of thousands in the capital, and like most of them, he wakes before his masters, before even the first hint of light touches the tiled roofs. The air in the sleeping quarters is cool and smells faintly of oil smoke, straw, and yesterday's sweat. 10 bodies share the space, each one curled on a thin mat laid directly on the stone floor. When one person shifts, everyone else feels it. Privacy is a luxury reserved for statues and senators. Marcus pushes himself upright, the straw rustling beneath him. The chill of the floor seeps into his feet, an unfriendly kind of greeting that he meets with a sigh. A few others are stirring too. Livia, the cook's helper, coughs softly as she ties her tunic. The rhythm of early labor has begun. Outside the small window, the world is a dim mixture of gray and smoke. The bakeries are already alive, their chimneys whispering warm breath into the cold sky. The smell of bread drifts faintly through the streets, mixing with the less noble odors of the city: tanneries, drains, animals, and people. Rome, even half asleep, has a smell you don't forget. Across the empire, there are slaves of every kind. Some toil under the open sun, pushing plows through the dusty fields of Sicily and Campania. Others, like Marcus, belong to the urban households of the wealthy, polishing floors, carrying water, tending fires. There are gladiators bound for the arena whose fame is short and bloody. Scribes and tutors whose hands ink the letters of men who owned them. Craftsmen, miners, cooks, couriers, maids, all threads in the invisible net holding Rome together. Marcus, for his part, serves inside a senator's home. It is a fine house, full of marble floors that must be swept until they shine, and silver dishes that must be polished until they blind. The master and mistress sleep upstairs, wrapped in soft wool and dreams that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Below them, Marcus and his companions wait for dawn to give permission to start moving faster. He glances at the boy sleeping next to him, Lucius, barely 12, face buried in his blanket. The boy's lips move as if arguing with someone in a dream. He almost smiles. There is something oddly comforting about seeing a child still believe in sleep when the world has already claimed him. The first real sound of morning arrives, a distant shout from a vendor, too early and too loud. It echoes through the narrow streets, bouncing off stone like a rooster made of lungs. Someone in the next room groans. Rome is awakening. From somewhere nearby, a cart creaks past, the wooden wheels squealing in protest. A mule snorts. A woman scolds her husband. And above it all, the faint, heavenly scent of baking bread drifts through the cracks in the door. If Rome had a heartbeat, this would be it. The smell of survival and the sound of people already at work before the sky turns gold. Marcus stands and stretches. He can almost pretend for a few seconds that he is simply another man greeting the morning. Then his back reminds him of yesterday's chores, and the end fantasy ends. There's no water in the room, the buckets are empty. That job will have to be done before the mistress calls for washing. The well is out in the courtyard, and whoever gets there first has the best chance of not being scolded for being late. Livia passes him on her way out, balancing a basket on her hip. She gives him a look that says, "Hurry up." He answers with one that says, "After you." She rolls her eyes, the small kind of exchange that makes servitude bearable. He follows her outside into the courtyard. The dawn is still hiding, the sky painted in thin strokes of silver and ash. The cobblestones are wet from the night mist, and his sandals make a soft slap as he walks. Somewhere in the shadows, a cat darts across the path. Quick, proud, untouchable. The slaves joke that cats are the only free citizens in Rome. At the well, Marcus hauls up a bucket of water. It's colder than he expects, biting against his skin. He fills another. The sound of water pouring into clay jars echoes gently, rhythmic as breathing. Around him, the house begins to stir. Lamps flicker on in the hallways. Voices murmur behind doors, the soft commanding tone of the mistress, the answering whispers of her maids. The air smells faintly of oil lamps and rising bread. Soon there will be orders. Sweep the floors, polish the lamps, fetch the sandals, feed the hound before it howls. The household will bloom into noise and motion, and the quiet of this hour will vanish like mist. But for now, the city still feels half asleep, and Marcus savors the fragile calm. Beyond the courtyard walls, Rome stretches endlessly. Temples, markets, alleys, and tenements layered like scales on a living creature. It is a city built on sweat. Every arch, every bath, every banquet depends on hands like his, unseen and unthanked. He looks up at the fading stars. They hang pale and tired, slowly swallowed by the coming light. Perhaps they've watched every morning like this, every nameless person waking to another day of work. The thought makes him smile faintly. Somewhere nearby, a baker calls out his first loaves for sale. A door slams. A baby cries. The spell of stillness breaks. Marcus grips the bucket handles and heads back inside. The marble floors need sweeping, and the mistress will want warm water before sunrise. The day has begun. As he walks through the dim hallway, a bit of warmth from the kitchen drifts toward him. Bread baking, cheese melting, the quiet crackle of fire. It smells like comfort, though none of it is meant for him. Still, he breathes it in and lets himself enjoy it for a moment. In a few hours, Rome will roar with life. Senators shouting in the forum, merchants haggling, children running through the streets. But for now, in these soft minutes before dawn, the city is his. And so Marcus keeps walking, buckets in hand, as the first thread of sunlight slips over the rooftops. By the time a pale ribbon of sunlight slips across the rooftops, the great house on the Esquiline Hill is already stretching itself awake. It doesn't happen all at once. The domus rises the way an orchestra tunes. First a few quiet notes, then the clatter of instruments finding harmony until the whole thing hums with life. Down in the courtyard, Marcus finishes scrubbing the stone basin where the master will soon wash his hands. The water ripples, catching the first gold of morning. A moment later, a door creaks, and the steward appears, a tall man with a chest like a barrel and the expression of someone who hasn't smiled since the last good harvest. "Move quickly," he says, though Marcus is already moving. The steward, Gaius, measures efficiency not by speed, but by visible fear. That, apparently, is motivation. Inside the house, the mistress's voice can be heard, sharp, clear, and impossible to ignore. "Livia, where's my comb?" she calls from her chamber. Somewhere, a maid answers, "Coming, Domina," and promptly drops something that sounds like a bronze mirror. It clatters across the floor, followed by an uncomfortable silence. The day's hierarchy reestablishes itself quickly. Masters command, the steward enforces, the slaves obey. Everyone knows their place, and stepping out of it brings more trouble than adventure. Marcus carries a pitcher of fresh water through the hallway, careful to keep his sandals quiet. The marble floors have been swept, though he spots a few rebellious specks of dust clinging to the edges of the mosaics. He'll deal with those later. Dust is patient. It will wait. The domus is beautiful in the way wealth often is, calm on the surface, expensive underneath. Sunlight filters through the atrium's open roof, touching the household shrine where small statues of the Lares, the guardian spirits, stand watch. The faint smell of incense lingers from last night's offerings. Someone has placed a fig there as a gift. The household gods eat better than some of the staff. In the kitchen, smoke curls lazily from the hearth. Livia works with her usual brisk rhythm, stirring porridge and slicing bread for breakfast. Her hair has escaped its braid and now looks like it's plotting rebellion. She notices Marcus at the doorway. "You're late," she says. "I'm exactly on time," he replies. "You're late," she repeats, which ends the argument. In this kitchen, Livia's word carries the weight of divine law. He helps her arrange the morning meal, a simple spread of bread, cheese, olives, and watered wine. The masters call it iantaculum, breakfast. It is light and civilized, unlike the rougher sort eaten by the workers in the fields. Still, Marcus can't help noticing that even the crumbs on his master's plate will be better than whatever the slaves will have later. When the food is ready, he carries the tray through the peristyle garden. The morning air smells of damp earth and crushed mint. A small fountain burbles lazily, and the sound mingles with the chatter of sparrows perched along the tiled roof. Rome may be crowded and noisy, but inside these walls it pretends to be peaceful. He enters the dining room just as the master, Lucius Varro, appears. Varro is not a cruel man, which in Rome already counts as kindness. His hair is going gray at the edges, and he carries himself with the weary confidence of someone who believes the gods owe him at least a few more years of comfort. "Good morning, Marcus," Varro says, stretching his arms. "Good morning, master. Is the bathwater being heated?" "Yes, master." "Excellent, and tell the steward I want my sandals polished before the noon visit." Marcus nods, placing the tray on the table. He steps back silently, hands clasped, eyes down, present but invisible. The master eats slowly, dipping bread into honey and humming a tune from the theater. From upstairs comes another sound, the mistress laughing. She is being attended by her maids, who are brushing out her hair and fastening the folds of her stola with jeweled pins. The laughter is light but carries the edge of command. Someone laughs louder a moment later, probably to agree. The morning routine of the Roman elite is a delicate dance of appearances. The mistress must look radiant when she greets visitors, even if she spent half the night complaining about her neighbor's perfume. The master must appear busy with public affairs, even if those affairs involve napping in the bath. The slaves, meanwhile, must glide through this performance without ever stealing the spotlight. In another part of the house, two young slaves are sweeping the atrium. The soft swish of straw brooms fills the space like gentle percussion. One hums under his breath. The steward appears, and the humming stops instantly. "Work, don't sing," he says. Then, almost as an afterthought, "unless the master asks for singing." It's unclear when the master would ever ask for that, but the rule stands. By mid-morning, the house hums steadily. The laundry slaves scrub tunics in cold water, their hands raw and red. The kitchen prepares the midday meal. The steward checks supplies and mutters about olive oil prices. From the street outside come the shouts of merchants and the faint ring of a blacksmith's hammer. Marcus finishes polishing the bronze lamps and glances toward the doorway. Beyond it, sunlight spills into the garden, and dust motes dance like golden insects. He pauses, just for a breath, to watch them float freely in the light. Small, weightless, ignored. "Marcus!" The steward's voice snaps him back. "Yes, sir?" The mistress wants you to bring water for the household shrine, and be quick about it. She's praying for good fortune today." He hides a smile. Good fortune for whom, he wonders, but says nothing. He collects the water and carries it carefully to the small altar. The mistress kneels there, head bowed, lips moving in whispered Latin. When she finishes, she nods at Marcus without looking at him. The acknowledgement is brief, but not unkind. As he turns to leave, he hears her say softly, "May the gods keep our house in peace." He almost answers, "And may they remember who keeps it clean," but decides against it. By now, the house is fully awake. The master prepares to visit the forum, the mistress arranges flowers in the atrium, and the slaves move like a quiet current beneath them all, tidying, carrying, serving, existing. Outside, Rome roars into full daylight, carts rattling, children shouting, vendors singing their prices. In a few hours, the heat will settle over the city like a blanket, and everyone will seek shade. But for now, the household is alive with motion, polished and proper, ready to face another day of respectability built on unseen effort. Marcus walks through the hall with an empty tray, listening to the overlapping sounds, the clink of dishes, the splash of water, the distant hum of the streets. It's a familiar music, one that plays every morning. He takes a deep breath. The smell of bread lingers, warm and faintly sweet. For a brief moment, he lets himself imagine he's smelling it simply because it's pleasant, not because it's work. Then he sets the tray down, squares his shoulders, and moves on to the next task. The household is awake, and so must he be. By mid-morning, the domus hums like a hive. The masters have eaten, the household gods have been fed, and now comes the quiet storm of chores that keep the whole place shining. Marcus begins in the atrium, the heart of the house. Sunlight streams through the open roof, falling in a perfect square onto the marble floor. The small indoor pool, the impluvium, catches drops of water from last night's drizzle. The sound is steady and peaceful, a rhythm only interrupted by the faint squeak of a cleaning cloth and the occasional sigh of someone already tired before noon. Marcus kneels beside the pool, polishing the bronze edges until he can see his reflection looking back at him. It's not a bad reflection, a bit thinner than he'd like perhaps, with a face that looks permanently awake. He wipes a spot of grime from his cheek and mutters, "There, handsome as a senator." No one hears him, which is for the best. Humor is safest when kept inside one's own head. All around him, other slaves move about their duties with the smooth precision of people who've done the same thing 1,000 times. One dusts the bust of Jupiter in the corner. Another adjusts the drapes so the sunlight hits the mosaic floor just right. The mosaics are beautiful, scenes of gods and heroes frozen in tiny colored tiles. The irony isn't lost on Marcus. The gods recline forever, while the mortals who clean them can't stop moving. The steward, Gaius, appears again, his sandals clicking like a metronome. "The master expects guests this afternoon. Everything must shine, especially the silver." Marcus bows his head. "Yes, sir." "Not yes, sir. Yes, Gaius," the steward corrects, puffing out his chest. "Yes, Gaius," Marcus says, though the name tastes unpleasant in his mouth. The steward leaves, and Marcus exhales slowly. He's not angry. Anger takes too much energy. Instead, he channels it into work, scrubbing the marble until it gleams like water. Silence fills the air, not true silence, but the quiet rhythm of labor. The scrape of a broom, the swish of cloth, the faint slosh of water in a bucket. It's a kind of music, steady and predictable, no shouting, no laughter, just the calm heartbeat of the house at work. In another room, the sound of weaving drifts through the doorway, Female slaves sit at looms, the threads clacking back and forth in patient harmony. One hums softly, a tune from somewhere far away, maybe the hills of Greece or the fields of Africa. Rome gathers songs as easily as it gathers people. Marcus moves to the storage room to fetch oil for the silver polishing. The shelves there are lined with jars, olive oil, wine, vinegar, and the mysterious household mixtures the mistress insists make her floors shine brighter. She picks up one jar, squints at the fading label, and whispers, "Please don't explode." It doesn't. Back in the triclinium, the dining room, the silverware lies spread across a long table. Plates, cups, trays, candlesticks, enough to feed 20 people and impress twice as many. Marcus dips a cloth into the oil and begins to rub each piece until the dull gray fades into a mirror-bright surface. It's slow work, and the repetition plays tricks on the mind. After a while, his thoughts drift. He wonders what it would feel like to own something this shiny, to eat from it without having to wash it afterwards, to have a name that isn't whispered in commands. Then he catches his reflection again, upside down in a polished cup, and snorts softly. "You'd just spill the wine anyway," he tells himself. Through the open doorway, the courtyard garden glows under the late morning sun. A gentle breeze moves through the laurel trees, carrying the scent of mint and damp stone. Somewhere above, pigeons coo lazily on the roof. Rome can be cruel, but even cruelty looks beautiful when wrapped in sunlight. Two younger slaves hurry past, carrying folded linens. One of them, Lucius, the sleepy boy from earlier, looks flustered. His arms tremble under the weight of the pile. Marcus catches the corner of a sheet before it slips. "Easy there. You'll have the whole place wearing bedclothes if you trip." Lucius grins sheepishly. "The steward said to hurry." The steward says a lot of things, most of them loudly. The boy stifles a laugh and rushes on, disappearing through the archway. Marcus shakes his head, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Even in Rome, laughter is a small act of rebellion. By midday, the atrium shines. The air smells faintly of oil and lemon leaves used to wipe the bronze fixtures. Marcus straightened his back and surveys his work. The reflection of the ceiling flickers on the polished floor like a captured sky. He allows himself a brief moment to stand still, to just be. His hands ache, his knees protest, but there's a quiet pride in the work, not in serving, but in doing something well, even if no one thanks him for it. In the far corner, a faint creak interrupts the calm. One of the younger girls, Sabina, has bumped a vase while dusting. The vase wobbles dangerously. Time slows. Marcus inhales sharply. She catches it at the last moment, heart pounding. Marcus exhales in relief. "Careful," he whispers. "That thing's worth more than both of us." She nods, cheeks flushed, and steadies the vase. Crisis averted. By now the light has shifted again, pouring in from the roof in warmer hues. The city outside is loud with merchants and animals, but inside the domus everything glows with polished stillness. The mistress's footsteps echo faintly from her chamber above. She's preparing for her guests, her sandals clicking softly across the mosaic floor. The scent of her perfume drifts through the air, jasmine mixed with something sharper. Marcus can always tell when she's nearby. Her fragrance arrives before she does. The steward reappears to inspect the work, his eyes scanning the surfaces for flaws. He runs a finger along a table edge and finds nothing. A rare victory. "Acceptable," he says, which is his version of a compliment. Then he adds, "Don't stand idle. Help in the kitchen." Marcus bows and heads that way, his shadow stretching across the spotless floor. As he walks, he glances toward the courtyard again. The fountain sparkles in the light, and he catches a brief reflection of his face in the water. For a moment, he looks almost like someone free. Just another man walking through a beautiful house. Then the sound of the steward's sandals reminds him where he is, and he snorts wryly. Back to work. The empire won't polish itself. And with that, Marcus disappears into the soft rhythm of labor again. One more pair of hands moving through the vast silent machinery of Rome. By the time the sun stands high over the tiled roofs of Rome, the mistress of the house is awake, dressed, and surrounded by the quiet chaos of preparation. Her name is Domitia, elegant, sharp-eyed, and capable of commanding an entire household with a single raised eyebrow. She isn't cruel, exactly. She simply moves through the world assuming it exists to serve her. Inside her private chamber, the air is heavy with the scent of perfume oils and crushed rose petals. Light spills through the curtains in pale gold stripes, touching marble statues, polished mirrors, and trays of gleaming jewelry. Every object here whispers the same message: wealth lives here. A group of maids scurry about like well-trained swallows, silent but quick. One fetches fresh linen, another arranges combs and pins on a small bronze table. The soft rasp of a brush against hair fills the room, rhythmic, soothing, almost musical. At the center of it all sits Domitia, wrapped in a silk robe the color of ripe figs. Her hair, a dark cascade of curls, tumbles down her back. Two maids work on it in careful coordination. One combs, one twists and pins. The mistress watches her own reflection with calm authority, the way a general might study a map before battle. From the doorway, Marcus waits quietly, a jug of water balanced in his hands. The steward had sent him to deliver it for the morning wash. He stands just out of sight, because entering uninvited is a swift path to punishment. Inside, the maids whisper. "The senator is hosting a guest today," one says. Domitia's eyes narrow in the mirror. A guest? Which one? The steward said it's a friend from the Forum, a Greek philosopher, maybe. No, wonderful. Another man who talks in riddles about virtue while drinking my husband's wine. A faint smile touches her lips, not kind, but not entirely cold. The maids giggle softly, encouraged. Marcus clears his throat, the sound polite, but enough to remind them he's there. "Excuse me, mistress, the water." Domitia turns her head slightly. "Ah, Marcus, set it down there, and try not to spill it this time." "Yes, mistress." He kneels, placing the jug carefully on the tiled floor. As he rises, his gaze catches the edge of a polished bronze mirror. In it, he sees the whole room reflected. The maids fluttering like nervous birds, the mistress, a queen among them, and himself, a shadow at the edge of it all. Domitia lifts her hands, inspecting the rings on her fingers. She says, "Bring the ointment." One maid rushes forward with a small jar. Another fans the air to carry the perfume evenly. The coordination is flawless, a dance learned by repetition and fear. "You there," Domitia says suddenly, glancing toward Marcus. "Have the courtyards been swept?" "Yes, mistress." "And the silver?" "Polished, mistress." She nods, satisfied. "Good. I dislike surprises." Marcus bows slightly. "I'll remember that, mistress." "Do," she replies, eyes returning to her reflection. He leaves as silently as he came, closing the door behind him. Inside, the ritual continues. Domitia's daily routine could fill a small scroll: perfumes, powders, garments, jewelry, conversation. For every noblewoman in Rome, appearance is both armor and advertisement. The wrong color of tunic or an unfashionable hairstyle can carry social consequences more severe than bad harvests. One of the older maids, Claudia, moves slowly but surely, arranging bracelets on a velvet tray. She has served the family since Domitia was a child, and though age has slowed her hands, her tongue remains sharp. "The mistress looks especially radiant today," she says, with the practiced smoothness of someone who knows when to flatter. "Flattery is only useful when it's true, Claudia," Domitia replies, smiling faintly. "But you may continue." Claudia bows her head. "Then I'll simply say the gods themselves would envy your curls." Domitia laughs, low and soft. "If they envy anything, it's my patience." The younger maids exchange looks, half amusement, half awe. The mistress's humor is a rare, fragile flower. When it appears, everyone breathes easier. Soon the hairstyling is done. The curls are piled high and secured with gold pins shaped like leaves. A thin chain of pearls rests against her neck, gleaming against her skin. She rises, tall and poised, and steps toward the mirror for final inspection. Outside, the household continues its quiet march of duties. From the kitchen comes the hiss of roasting meat. From the courtyard, the murmur of gardeners trimming the laurel. The city beyond the walls is loud and rough, but here everything feels carefully arranged, an oasis of order built on top of an empire of chaos. Domitia gestures for her sandals. A maid kneels to fasten the straps, fingers trembling slightly as she works. The mistress notices, of course, but says nothing. She rarely scolds directly. A raised eyebrow is usually enough to reduce mistakes to memory. Once dressed, she crosses the room with the smooth confidence of someone who has never hurried in her life. Her maids trail behind her in practiced formation, carrying baskets of linen, combs, and oils like sacred offerings. They enter the peristyle, the open courtyard surrounded by columns, where the light now falls in long golden beams. The sound of trickling water from the fountain fills the air. Domitia inhales deeply. Rome smells better after noon. For a few hours, at least. Claudia chuckles softly. "Until the drains warm up, mistress." "Exactly." For a moment, even she seems almost human. A woman, not a statue of privilege. She tilts her head toward the sunlight, eyes half closed. She says absently, "Do you ever think how much work it takes to make a place look peaceful?" The maids glance at each other, unsure if it's a real question. Claudia answers carefully. "It takes many hands, mistress." "Yes," Domitia murmurs. Her gaze drifts across the courtyard, where Marcus now sweeps fallen petals into a basket. For a fleeting instant, their eyes meet. Servant and mistress. Two lives touching only in silence. Then she looks away, and the moment dissolves. The steward appears at the far end of the walkway, bowing. "Your husband's guest has arrived, Domina." Domitia straightens. "Then let us make Rome proud," she says, adjusting her bracelet. "Ladies, to your posts." The maids scatter like startled doves. The mistress glides toward the reception hall, her perfume trailing behind her. Jasmine, myrrh, and the finest edge of power. Marcus watches her pass, broom in hand. He knows his part in this play. Silent, invisible, necessary. Around him, the air shimmers with sunlight and the smell of roses. Somewhere beyond the walls, the city roars. And in this grand house on the Esquiline Hill, the mistress and her maids prepare for another performance in the endless theater of Roman life. Beneath the polished floors and sunlit atrium of the Domus, the Culina roars like a living thing. Smoke curls from the hearth, twisting lazily toward the low ceiling. The scent of roasting meat mingles with the acrid tang of burning oil, the sharp bite of chopped herbs, and the unmistakable tang of garum, the fermented fish sauce that flavors every Roman dish worth tasting. The air is hot, heavy, and alive. Heat rises from the hearths, pressing against the skin like an invisible hand. It clings to the hair, the back of the neck, the tunic soaked in sweat before the morning is done. The kitchen is a world of motion, knives flashing, pots clanging, firewood shifting in the hearth. Here, Rome's wealth is both visible and tangible, built on the backs of people who will never taste the finest parts of the feast. The cooks, koki, move with practiced precision, each gesture deliberate. One stirs a cauldron of lentils, the thick green paste bubbling over the edge. Another lifts a skewer of fish from the embers, brushing it with a mixture of olive oil and crushed herbs. The heat is relentless, yet their hands are steady. They work not just to cook, but to create an illusion of effortless abundance. Among them, slaves scurry like ants. Some chop vegetables with speed and accuracy. Others grind spices in heavy mortars. Every action carries weight. A single dropped olive or a mismeasured pinch of pepper could disrupt the delicate balance of presentation. Marcus, though not a cook himself, moves between stations with trays and jugs of water, silent and efficient. His presence is like air, necessary but unnoticed unless absent. The kitchen smells of everything at once. Sweet and smoky notes from roasting meat blend with sharp, acidic scents of wine vinegar and fermented fish. Herbs, thyme, dill, coriander hang in the air like suspended green smoke. Marcus breathes it in, marveling at how this chaos creates something beautiful. Even the unpleasant odors seem to belong. A group of koki shapes small parcels of dough, filling them with fish and cheese, pinching the edges carefully so they hold their shape. Another group prepares sauces in shallow bowls, honey-thick reductions, oil and herb blends, pungent pastes that will dress the fish and meat before presentation. Every movement is precise, practiced 100 times but made to look effortless. Rome does not admire the work behind the curtain, only the final performance. Meal preparation for the day's guest feast is a symphony of heat, sound, and smell. Fires crackle beneath large bronze pots. Sizzling oil spit attentionally, leaving a faint film on nearby tiles. A jar of garum is poured sparingly over boiled vegetables, the pungent smell making Marcus wrinkle his nose. Yet this sauce, foul to the uninitiated, is considered a delicacy, an example of how culture and taste are shaped by wealth, by exposure, by hierarchy. Slaves move with choreography born of necessity. One chops vegetables with speed and accuracy. Another grinds spices in heavy mortars. Every action carries weight. A single dropped olive or a mismeasured pinch of pepper could disrupt the delicate balance. Marcus passes through the sweltering heat with buckets of water, offering refreshment to the koki when they pause for the briefest of seconds. Sweat drips into eyes, but no one complains. Complaints are for those higher in the household, or worse, the street. Every dish has its place and purpose. The presentation is as important as taste. Roasted meats are garnished with sprigs of fresh herbs. Fish lie on platters of gleaming bronze, lemon slices arranged like sunbursts. Fruit is carved with geometric precision, honey drizzled in artistic patterns. The table is an artwork, a testament to the wealth of the master and the labor of the unseen. Marcus watches quietly as one of the koki demonstrates a finishing touch, a drizzle of oil over roasted dormice, tiny creatures turned into miniature jewels on the platter. Even the smallest detail matters. A guest may never notice the care, but the household will collapse in chaos if the ritual is neglected. The hierarchy within the kitchen is clear. The koki direct, the senior slaves supervise, and the juniors fetch, carry, and polish. Marcus belongs to the latter category, always in motion, rarely resting, invisible in the heat, yet indispensable. The irony is never lost on him. The richest food in the empire is served first to men and women who command it, while those who labor to produce it will eat what remains. The leftovers, carefully collected, will form the slave's meal, a simple portion of bread, boiled vegetables, and the occasional bit of cold meat or fish. There is no shame in it. It is survival, plain and functional. The extravagance of the table is a reminder of social order. Masters feasting, servants feeding themselves on remnants. Every meal reinforces the invisible chains binding them all. Yet in these moments, there is a strange beauty. The kitchen is alive in a way the atrium cannot be. Here, the pulse of the household is immediate, raw, and tactile. Marcus feels it beneath his fingers as he wipes a pot or lifts a tray. The rhythm of a system that never stops. The quiet pride of work done well. The dance of bodies and heat in perfect coordination. The final courses are prepared. Platters of fish, poultry, vegetables, and fruit are arranged with meticulous care. Honeyed wine waits in bronze cups. As each tray leaves the kulina, carries with it not just food, but the labor of countless hands, some skilled, some new, all essential. Marcus follows behind, ensuring nothing spills, nothing falters. The kitchen itself exhales as the koki relax briefly, knowing their creation will soon be admired above all, consumed with gratitude, and then vanish. As the dishes reach the reception hall, the kitchen grows quieter. Fires smolder, herbs wilt slightly in their baskets, and the heat lingers like a satisfied sigh. Marcus takes a moment to glance around, watching the koki and slaves gather their tools. The room, once chaotic and searing, now feels empty and sacred. Every surface holds the memory of labor. Every lingering smell tells the story of preparation. He imagines the guests eating, oblivious to the toil behind each bite, the taste, the aroma, the artistry, all a performance, all a statement. And he knows that when the plates are cleared, the kitchen will be back in motion, preparing for the next feast, the next ritual, the next day. The cycle is endless. For Marcus and the others, food is both sustenance and lesson, culture on a plate, hierarchy baked into every morsel. They eat what remains, quietly, efficiently, thankful for what they are given, yet ever aware of the gulf between the feast above and the toil below. Smoke, spice, heat, and motion, these are their world, and in them they find purpose, resilience, and even small moments of pride. As he places the last of the dishes in order and wipes the sweat from his brow, he allows himself a small, wry smile. In the kitchen, there is chaos, heat, and endless labor. But there is also life and the faint, flickering sense of mastery in making something beautiful that will feed, delight, and impress. The kulina exhales again, smoke curling toward the ceiling, herbs filling the air with memory. Outside, the sun climbs higher. Inside, the household pulses with quiet energy, a world of order maintained by hands like Marcus's, steadfast, unseen, essential. And though the slaves will dine only on leftovers, in these sweltering, fragrant hours, they are as much a part of Rome as the marble floors, the gilded platters, and the echoing laughter of those who will eat before them. The streets of Rome are never still. Even in the heat of the afternoon, they pulse with a rhythm of their own, a chaotic symphony of voices, hooves, wheels, and the faint clatter of sandals on worn stone. To the untrained eye, it is chaos. To Marcus, it is life, structured, demanding, and endlessly fascinating. He steps out of the shaded courtyard, carrying a basket filled with goods for the household, fresh herbs, bread from the baker, and a small vial of wine for the mistress's guests. The air is thick with scent, smoke from nearby hearths, the pungent aroma of fish in the markets, and the subtle sweetness of crushed flowers sold by wandering vendors. Every scent carries a story, a hint of a life he can only glimpse from the periphery. The forum stretches ahead, a bustling square of stone and sun. Merchants shout from raised platforms, hawking everything from olives to pottery to scrolls scribbled with news of the Senate. Children run through the crowd, laughing, shrieking, sometimes dodging between the legs of donkeys and oxen, hauling heavy loads. Dogs weave among them, tails wagging, noses sniffing for scraps. Marcus navigates the chaos like a practiced shadow. He slips between baskets of figs and jars of honey, nodding politely to vendors who call his attention. A fishmonger holds up a wriggling catch, gleaming silver scales reflecting the sunlight, and shouts, "Fresh from Ostia, freshest in all of Rome." A few coins change hands, hands trembling with haste. Marcus passes without pause. The household errands leave no time for temptation. Street performers add another layer to the urban orchestra. A flute drifts over the crowd, played by a blind man whose eyes see more than most who pass. A juggler tosses clay balls in perfect arcs, catching them with precision, drawing laughter from a gathering of children. Even in the turmoil, Rome finds beauty in small spectacles. The temples loom above the square, their marble columns bright against the sky. Priests and acolytes move with quiet dignity, attending to offerings and prayers. A man pauses to drop a coin in a small bronze altar, whispers a prayer, and hurries on. Religion is woven into every step here, yet it flows seamlessly alongside the mundane, commerce, errands, argument, and laughter. Marcus glances up at the baths of Agrippa as he rounds a corner. Steam rises from the heated pools, mingling with the scent of sulfur and hot stone. Citizens in towels and sandals chat quietly, their feet splashing in shallow water. Even here, hierarchy is clear. Senators lounge in private chambers, while slaves scrub floors and carry fresh towels, unseen but essential. Marcus's mind drifts for a second, a fleeting wish that such calm existed elsewhere in his life. Then he shakes it off. The errands wait. The street is alive with bodies, human and animal. Oxen pull heavy carts laden with grain, their hooves echoing against stone. Donkeys carry baskets on their backs, braying if a passerby gets too close. Merchants shout prices, beggars hold out empty hands, and senators in white togas stride confidently through the crowd, unbothered by the disorder around them. Marcus notices the subtle order beneath the chaos. Even with so many people moving, so many animals, so many vendors calling at once, the city flows. Certain routes are safer, certain crossings predictable. Invisible hands, officials, fellow slaves, the unspoken rules of the marketplace guide the chaos, shaping it into something that functions. And at the center of it all, he moves carefully, carrying his household's needs without incident. A small group of beggars sits near a fountain, holding out hands, murmuring prayers and complaints. Their eyes follow him as he passes, curious, hungry, but respectful of the authority that accompanies the master's errands. Marcus drops a coin in a tin dish near the fountain. It is small, but it is acknowledgement. The city is a network of tiny debts and gestures, each person a thread in its vast web. Vendors display their goods in a riot of color. Bright fabrics flap in the breeze, glinting jewelry catch the sun, and baskets of fruits, cherries, pomegranates, figs, tempt even the most disciplined slave. Marcus keeps his eyes forward. His master's list is precise: parsley, 2 loaves of bread, wine for the guests, a fig for the mistress. Each item collected is a victory, each handoff a small triumph in the invisible machinery of service. He pauses at a stall selling herbs, inhaling the fragrance of basil, thyme, and coriander. One of the vendor's sons knocks over a basket of garlic. Cloves scatter across the stone. Marcus bends to help gather them, muttering, "Careful, you'll anger the gods." The boy laughs nervously, helping him pick up the rest. It is a brief connection across social lines, a reminder that even in Rome, small kindnesses matter. The city itself is a living organism. Every sound, smell, and movement contributes to its heartbeat. Marcus can feel it in the rhythm of his own steps, the push of a cart, the clatter of coins, the chatter of merchants, the bark of dogs. The forum, the streets, the baths, the temples, all of it works in harmony, chaotic but coherent, guided by rules invisible to most but understood by those who move within it. As he makes his way back toward the house, Marcus passes a senator arguing with a merchant over the price of grain. Their voices rise, commanding attention, yet no one interferes. A group of children chase a stray chicken, laughing as it flaps and escapes. A street musician follows, drumming on a small hand drum, adding a heartbeat to the scene. Life in Rome is messy, loud, and exhausting, but it is vibrant. Marcus finally reaches the courtyard of his master's house, arms full of carefully gathered goods. He steps inside, placing bread, wine, and herbs where they belong. The house is calm compared to the streets. Polished floors, quiet servants, and the soft light of afternoon through the atrium. But Marcus carries the memory of the outside world with him, the smell of roasting fish, the cries of vendors, the rhythm of countless feet moving over cobblestones. In this way, Rome lives in layers. Above, the masters dine and converse. Below, the kitchen burns with heat. Outside, the streets pulse like veins in a great organism. And in the middle, Marcus moves, unseen yet essential, connecting the layers through errands, effort, and attention to detail. The city depends on him and his fellow slaves, yet they belong to the margins, vital and invisible, shaping life without acknowledgement. As he sets down the last of the errands, he allows himself a brief moment to breathe. The city stretches beyond the walls, temples, baths, markets, roads teeming with life, and he knows, as he always does, that it will all continue without pause. Rome is vast, noisy, and alive, yet somehow ordered, and he is one small part of its invisible hands, guiding the flow in quiet, unnoticed ways. He smiles faintly to himself. In the streets, the forum, the temples, and the baths, chaos reigns. Yet it is a chaos held together by rhythm, repetition, and countless unseen efforts. A world of motion that only someone like Marcus can truly understand. And so, carrying both errands and knowledge of the city's pulse, he moves onward, a shadow among the crowds, a keeper of balance in the ever-beating heart of Rome. By the time Marcus returns to the Domus, the sun has shifted high and heavy, pouring golden light through the atrium and warming the marble floors. The city beyond the walls hums and rattles with life. But inside, the house has its own rhythm, quieter than the forum, yet no less demanding. Afternoon in a Roman household is not a pause, it is another stage of relentless labor. Marcus drops the baskets of errands near the kitchen and wipes the sweat from his brow. His tunic clings to his skin, damp with the day's work, but there is no time for comfort. Each moment is occupied by tasks that keep the house running, polishing, carrying, arranging, attending. He moves first to the triclinium, the dining hall, where the morning's dishes have been cleared, but the silver remains to be polished. The midday sun glints off the bronze and silver platters, highlighting fingerprints and smudges left behind in the rush of the morning feast. Marcus dips a soft cloth into olive oil and begins the slow, meditative motion of rubbing the metal until it gleams. It is a repetitive task, one that sharpens the senses. He notices the patterns in the mosaics below, tiny tesserae forming intricate scenes of gods and heroes. In some ways, polishing the silver feels like arranging the chaos of life into order. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, the coquille are preparing for the next meal, already thinking ahead to the evening's dinner. The smell of roasting meat and frying herbs drifts up the stairs, mixing with the faint scent of garum still lingering from the morning. Marcus carries fresh jugs of water to cool steaming pots, careful not to spill a drop. The heat here is relentless. Sweat streams down the backs of the slaves as they work in silence. Each gesture is precise, practiced, essential. He passes the household shrine, where Domitia's maids have left offerings of figs and wine for the lares, the protective spirits of the home. He pauses briefly to straighten a cup and wipe a smear of dust from the altar. Respect is shown quietly, with small acts that go unnoticed, but are essential to keeping favor with gods and masters alike. A call from the steward echoes through the hallway. "Marcus, prepare the atrium for the afternoon visitors. Make it spotless. And don't let that fool of a boy leave a footprint on the polished floor again." Marcus exhales. The steward's voice is loud, sharp, and relentless. The boy in question, Lucius, had tripped over a rug that morning, leaving a smear on the floor. Marcus shakes his head, smiling faintly. In this house, mistakes are magnified, though the day itself remains endless. He moves to the atrium garden, sweeping fallen leaves and petals from the paths. The fountain trickles steadily, scattering light across the stone. The smell of crushed mint and laurel fills the air. It is both calming and exhausting, a reminder that beauty in Rome is built on constant effort. Slaves tend it tirelessly, and Marcus wonders how many visitors ever notice the perfection of the garden, rather than simply enjoying its serene effect. From the kitchen, a maid calls out for fresh water. Marcus fetches the jug and climbs the steps carefully, balancing it against his chest. Along the way, he glimpses the mistress adjusting her stola before a mirror, her face calm, composed, and untouchable. Domitia moves through the world like a river, polished, serene, inevitable, while Marcus flows around her like an undercurrent, unseen yet essential. In the library, Marcus carries a tray of wine for the master and his guests. Lucius follows, balancing a small bowl of figs. Books line the walls, scrolls stacked neatly on wooden shelves. The scent of parchment is faint, but unmistakable, mingling with the warm aroma of oil lamps and the faint echo of conversation. Publius sits at a desk, reading a letter, while the philosopher Dion, who has lingered for a short time, gestures animatedly about some point of logic. Marcus moves quietly, setting the tray down without a sound. He watches the gestures, the exchanges of glances, the unspoken hierarchy of the room. Even here, knowledge is a stage. The masters converse, the philosopher teaches, and the slaves ensure that nothing falters. By mid-afternoon, Marcus has returned to the kitchen to fetch more ingredients for the evening meal. Heat presses against him like a living thing. Steam curls from the hearths, sizzling oil spatters against the edges of cauldrons, and the pungent smell of garum mixes with herbs and roasted meats. The coquille works silently, their hands moving in precise, repeated motions, chopping, stirring, basting. Marcus carries the chopped vegetables in trays, depositing them carefully in the correct cauldrons, aware that any misstep could disrupt the rhythm of production. The hierarchy is strict. Senior cooks direct, younger slaves follow, and Marcus is somewhere in between, both observer and participant, essential but invisible. Even in the heat there is beauty here. Flames lick the edges of pots, oils shimmer in the sunlight, and the aroma of roasting meat is intoxicating. This is Rome distilled, hard work, artistry, and order born from chaos. The midday meal for the household staff is simple: bread, boiled vegetables, and whatever scraps the coquille set aside. Marcus eats quietly, taking a small portion and savoring it despite its simplicity. There is no shame in the meal. It is sustenance and survival, and it gives him the energy to continue the endless rhythm of labor. After eating, he returns to the atrium, polishing bronze lamps, arranging cushions, and checking for stray dust. Each motion is careful, deliberate, almost meditative. In the quiet, he can hear the subtle music of the house, the fountain trickling, the shuffle of sandals on marble, the faint hum of conversation in the reception hall. The afternoon labors are long and unrelenting, but they are also a kind of quiet mastery. Marcus knows the household intimately, its rhythms, its needs, its invisible rules. He moves through it with precision, unseen yet essential, shaping the environment even as it shapes him. The sun dips lower, casting longer shadows across the floor, and the light turns golden and warm, softening the edges of the house and the labor within it. By late afternoon, Marcus pauses for a moment to look across the atrium. The household seems calm now, poised between the bustle of midday and the preparations for evening. The garden is tidy, the fountains sparkle, the air smells faintly of herbs and roasting bread. In this quiet moment, he allows himself to notice the artistry behind the labor, the invisible work that makes Rome appear effortless, elegant, and eternal. And then he bends again to his tasks, polishing, carrying, arranging. The day is far from over, and the rhythm of service continues. As the sun dips toward the western horizon, the light in the domus softens, spilling through the atrium in long, golden beams. Shadows stretch across the marble floors, transforming the familiar rooms into something almost magical. This is the signal for evening preparations, the stage where Rome's wealth and precision are displayed to guests, and Marcus begins a new phase of labor. Candles are lit first, held in brass holders, or suspended in glass lamps filled with olive oil. Their flames flicker, reflecting in polished silver and bronze, casting dancing patterns on walls and mosaics. Marcus carefully checks each one, ensuring none are tilted or too low. A stray flame could mar the illusion of perfection and, more importantly, anger the mistress. He adjusts each lamp silently, a small act of guardianship over light itself. The atrium is next. Cushions are plumped, rugs straightened, and statues brushed of dust. Marcus moves like a shadow, unseen but essential, adjusting every detail. The house must appear effortless, the labor invisible. Yet he knows that every polished surface, every aligned cushion, carries the weight of hours of work by invisible hands. He allows himself a brief smile, thinking, "Rome looks easy, but it never is." From the kitchen comes the final chorus of aromas: roasting meats, fried fish, honeyed fruits, and the lingering pungency of garum. Slaves carry dishes carefully to the dining hall, where bronze platters await, arranged like a tableau for both admiration and consumption. The artistry of the presentation is meticulous. Herbs sprinkled just so, fruits carved into geometric shapes, sauces drizzled in patterns that would please a poet. Every meal is a performance, and Marcus ensures that the orchestra behind it plays in perfect harmony. The mistress, Domitia, now appears, dressed for the evening. Her stola glimmers in the lamplight, her jewelry arranged to catch the flicker of candle flames. She moves gracefully, a conductor among her instruments, and the maids follow, adjusting robes, pins, and hair. Marcus watches from the background, carrying a tray of wine, refilling cups without drawing attention. Even in the midst of elegance, the rhythm of labor continues, unnoticed but essential. Outside, the city hums as evening deepens. The streets are quieter than in the midday rush, but the pulse of Rome continues, carts rolling toward taverns, vendors closing stalls, and children chasing each other in alleyways. Inside, however, the house hums with its own energy, the quiet urgency of preparation for visitors who will judge everything they see. Slaves move in practiced choreography. Lucius carries small bowls of olives and nuts, navigating between polished tables and statues. The Cocchi bring trays from the kitchen, each step measured, each dish balanced with care. Marcus follows a silent orchestrator of details, ensuring lamps are lit, surfaces shine, and the air carries the faint scent of herbs and roasted meat without overwhelming the senses. Occasionally a small mishap occurs, a tray teeters, a cushion slips, a candle flickers, and Marcus is there to catch, adjust, or steady. These interventions are invisible to most, but they preserve the rhythm of the house, the illusion of effortless perfection that Rome demands. There is a subtle artistry in this: timing, observation, and gentle correction. The guests arrive as the first stars appear in the sky. Their sandals echo on the marble floors, voices carrying through the atrium. Senators, merchants, and scholars alike enter, and the house responds: polished floors, glowing lamps, perfectly arranged tables. Marcus notices every detail: who bows where, how the cushions shift, how a chair is angled just so. The city outside is distant, chaotic, yet inside, every movement is guided by invisible hands like his. The laughter of guests fades. Their sandals echo back toward the street as the final polite nods are exchanged. The domus exhales, a vast space that had pulsed with conversation, the clatter of dishes and the shuffle of many servants' feet. Night settles gently over Rome, brushing the marble floors with shadows. The city beyond may still hum with life, late merchants, wandering citizens, stray animals. But inside the house, a different rhythm begins, the quiet, deliberate labor of closing the day. Marcus steps back into the atrium. The golden glow of the remaining lamps flickers across mosaics and statues. Candles are trimmed, holders cleaned, and the polished bronze and silver inspected one last time. Each lamp is checked for stability, each flame adjusted so it does not gutter. He knows the smallest flicker could betray the illusion of perfection cultivated throughout the day. The work is quiet now, meticulous, almost sacred. The kitchen smells of the day's meals: sweet honey, roasted meats, fried fish, and faint traces of garum. Slaves gather the remaining dishes, washing them carefully in cold water, scrubbing with sponges and sand, and rinsing until bronze and silver gleam like mirrors. The Cocchi move with quiet precision, their bodies heavy with fatigue, but skilled from years of repetition. Marcus dries the last tray and places it carefully on the rack, knowing it will remain spotless until morning. In the storage rooms, barrels are secured, lids checked, and the day's receipts for deliveries filed. The steward's eyes will sweep these areas tomorrow. Everything must be perfect. Marcus moves efficiently, organizing herbs, oils, and dried foods, ensuring nothing is left exposed to pests or moisture. Even in the quiet, the house demands constant attention. Outside the kitchen, Demente's maids tidy the atrium garden one last time. Fallen leaves are swept, petals collected, fountains brushed. Marcus watches as they move with practiced grace, the soft clatter of brooms against stone blending with the distant murmur of the city. A cool evening breeze drifts through the courtyard, carrying scents of mint, laurel, and faint smoke from distant hearths. For a moment, the house feels suspended, serene, ordered, and untouched. Marcus moves to the household shrine again, placing fresh water for the lairs and adjusting small offerings. The flickering lamp casts dancing shadows over the bronze statues. He straightens them carefully, a ritual learned over years, performed without thought but always with respect. The spirits must be appeased, and even the invisible must be tended to. The doors and gates are next. Marcus checks the locks, ensures bolts are secure, and inspects the hinges. The city beyond is unpredictable. Night brings wanderers, thieves, and mischief. Within the house, however, security is maintained through vigilance and routine. Every latch, every door, every small barrier is a line of defense silently watched over by hands like his. He pauses briefly at the stairwell, listening. The house is quiet, but not still. A soft drip from the kitchen roof, the hum of the fountains, the faint scrape of a distant cart in the street below. The world continues, even in shadow. Marcus moves methodically, mindful of every step. His shadow stretches long against the marble walls, blending with the night itself. Evening duties include the last inspections of floors and surfaces. Dust is swept, tiles polished, rugs straightened. He checks cushions and tapestries, ensuring nothing is out of place. The mistress will see it in the morning. The guest from the day before may have remarked on perfection. Everything must be maintained, not just restored. Marcus knows the illusion of Rome's elegance depends on these invisible hands, and he takes his role seriously, even as exhaustion tugs at his limbs. The coki and kitchen slaves eat a small evening meal, leftovers from the afternoon, bread, boiled vegetables, and small scraps of meat. Marcus joins them, sitting quietly on a low bench near the hearth. The warmth of the fire is welcome after a day moving between marble halls and bustling streets. Conversation is minimal. Words are unnecessary. The day's rhythm carries them through, their bodies knowing the labor even when their minds seek rest. After the meal, Marcus returns to the atrium for one final sweep. Dust motes float in the candlelight, catching the glow like tiny stars. He straightens a vase, adjusts a statue, and ensures that the fountains are flowing evenly. The house now stands ready for sleep, poised between the world of men and gods, of masters and slaves. It is perfect, serene, and alive, a quiet organism sustained by countless unseen motions. Marcus steps outside briefly, leaning against the threshold. The city stretches into darkness, lit by flickering lamps and the occasional torch. The forum is quieter now, though not silent. Distant shouts, barking dogs, and the scrape of carts remind him that Rome never truly sleeps. The contrast between the chaos outside and the calm within is stark, yet both are part of the same living organism. The city, like the house, depends on careful hands, visible and invisible, to maintain its rhythm. Returning inside, Marcus extinguishes the last lamps he is responsible for, careful not to snuff any flame too abruptly. The shadows deepen, but the house does not feel empty. It breathes in the quiet, alive with memory and anticipation for the next day. The work may be invisible, repetitive, and exhausting, but it is essential. Without hands like Marcus's, the illusion of order would crumble, revealing the chaos beneath. Finally, Marcus allows himself a moment of rest. He sits quietly in a corner near the kitchen, listening to the faint hum of water from the fountain, the soft crackle of the dying fire, and the distant sounds of the city. In this twilight, he reflects on the day, the errands, the meals, the guests, the labor, and the rhythm that sustains everything. There is a quiet pride in his work, though it is unseen by most. He has moved the household through another day, preserved the illusion of perfection, and ensured that the lives of masters and guests unfold without disruption. The labor may be invisible, but it is profound. Without it, Rome's order, both in the house and beyond, could not exist. As night deepens and the city sleeps fitfully, Marcus closes his eyes for a brief moment. Tomorrow the sun will rise and the rhythm will begin again. Errands, meals, preparation, service. But for now, the domus is still, polished and calm. The invisible hands have done their work, and for a fleeting moment, the house and the city breathe together, steady and alive. Marcus wheels back, exhausted but satisfied as the last glow of candlelight fades. Outside, Rome continues its restless hum. Inside, the house rests, held in balance by those who serve quietly, without recognition, yet with unmatched skill and care. In the shadows, Marcus smiles faintly. He is part of the city, part of the house, part of its endless rhythm. And for tonight, that is enough. The domus falls into a soft, hushed rhythm as the last guests depart and the final lamps burn low. Outside, Rome is quieter than in the day, though never truly still. The distant bark of a dog, the clatter of a cart on cobblestones, the murmur of late-night wanderers remind all who remain inside that the city never sleeps. For Marcus and the other household slaves, the night is not rest. It is vigilance, the night watch, a sacred duty that demands attention, patience, and quiet. Marcus moves through the atrium, lit only by a few remaining candles and the silver gleam of the moon spilling through the open roof. His steps are soft on the marble, practiced and deliberate. Every shadow is noted, every flicker of candlelight observed, every creak or distant sound recorded in his mind. The house breathes around him, alive in a quieter, more subtle way than the chaos of day. The first task of night watch is inspection. Doors are checked, bolts and locks examined, windows, shutters, and gates are carefully secured. Even the smallest lapse could allow intruders, and Marcus knows the household's reputation and safety depends on diligence. He pauses at each threshold, sliding a hand across the bronze handle, listening for the faintest sound of movement. Inside the kitchen, the coquille and junior slaves scrub the last pots and sweep the floors. Steam rises from a recently cleaned cauldron, curling lazily toward the ceiling. The fire in the hearth flickers low, glowing warmly but safely. Even in this quiet, their work continues, not for applause, but because perfection is demanded at all hours. Marcus moves among them, refilling water jugs, adjusting cloths, and making sure every surface is spotless. He notices small details in the dim light, a streak of soot on a wall, a leaf caught in a corner, the faint residue of olive oil on a tray. Each imperfection is corrected without thought, part of a routine honed over years. In the quiet of night, there is time to observe, to reflect, and to appreciate the artistry behind even the smallest actions. The atrium garden is subdued, its fountain dripping steadily, moonlight casting silver patterns on leaves and tiles. Marcus walks carefully along the paths, checking that no debris from the day remains, brushing fallen petals from the stone. The soft hum of insects adds to the tranquility. This garden, so alive and chaotic in sunlight, becomes a place of calm at night, a reminder that even in a household of strict order, nature quietly persists. Occasionally, the city beyond the walls intrudes, a shout from a distant street, the faint jangle of a cart, or the whisper of wind through the narrow lanes. Marcus listens carefully. He knows that, in Rome, even the smallest sound can carry meaning. A traveler lost, a thief seeking opportunity, or simply a citizen walking home from late work. Awareness is a skill, honed through long nights of observation and quiet vigilance. In the servants' quarters, junior slaves lie on straw mattresses, murmuring softly among themselves before sleep. Marcus moves quietly, checking that everyone is accounted for, ensuring blankets are tucked and lamps safely extinguished. Sleep is both a luxury and a necessity. The night watch is shared, and responsibility is collective. His presence is both reassurance and authority, unseen but felt. He pauses near the servant's shrine, adjusting a lamp and ensuring the offerings remain in place. The lares, protectors of the home, are silent witnesses to the night. Marcus reflects briefly on the cycle of service, the day spent tending to masters, guests, and visitors, and the night spent safeguarding the home. Both are labor, both are essential, both are invisible in different ways. At intervals, Marcus steps outside to the perimeter of the property, listening, observing, and noting the subtle movements of the city. Shadows stretch across walls and rooftops, the occasional torch flickering in the distance. The streets are quieter now, yet still unpredictable. His eyes adjust to the darkness, recognizing familiar shapes and movements, distinguishing between threat and routine. Rome, even at night, is alive, a vast organism of which the household is a small but vital part. Back inside, Marcus checks on the kitchen once more, ensuring no pot simmers unattended, no fire threatens. The coquille have settled their work, but vigilance is continuous. Even in this calm, the potential for disruption exists, and he remains alert. Every sound, every scent, every flicker of light carries information. Awareness is a constant companion. In the atrium, Marcus glances at the sleeping cushions and polished floors. The house is still, but not empty. Shadows gather in corners, playing across mosaics of gods and heroes, reminding him that the domus itself is a living entity, maintained by hands like his. The walls, statues, and fountains are silent witnesses, absorbing the labor and care that defines life within. A distant cat prowls quietly, slipping along shadows and rooftops. He notices it and smiles faintly. Life persists, even in the night, even beyond human control. The city is never still, and neither can he be entirely. Vigilance is a responsibility, a rhythm intertwined with the heartbeat of Rome itself. By the late hour, the household sleeps, but Marcus remains moving silently through the rooms, checking doors, lamps, and trays. The tasks are repetitive, but in their repetition lies mastery. He knows the house better than anyone, understanding its rhythms, anticipating needs, correcting potential errors before they appear. The night watch is quiet, invisible, but indispensable. For a brief moment, he sits near the hearth, listening to the soft drip of water from the fountains, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the faint hum of Rome beyond the walls. It is in this quiet that he reflects on the day, the errands, the meals, the guests, the labor, and the rhythm that sustains everything. Every moment of work, every action, every gesture, invisible to most, essential to all. As midnight approaches, Marcus makes one final sweep through the atrium and corridors, ensuring the house is orderly, secure, and ready for the next day. The lamps burn low, casting long shadows across marble and mosaic. The kitchen is cool, the coquille resting, the garden quiet. The house breathes in the night, alive with memory and anticipation, balanced delicately by the unseen labor of slaves. Outside, Rome sleeps fitfully, streets dark but alive with distant echoes. Inside, the domus rests, held in balance by silent, vigilant hands. Marcus closes his eyes for a brief moment, knowing that when dawn comes, the city and household will awaken again, and the cycle of service, care, and labor will begin anew. In the quiet of night, he understands something profound. His work is invisible, repetitive, and exhausting, yet it shapes the very life of the house. He is part of the pulse of Rome, part of the unseen structure that maintains order amidst chaos. And for tonight, that knowledge is enough. The night stretches on, deep and calm, while Marcus remains alert, the silent guardian, the keeper of shadows, the invisible heartbeat of the domus.
The domus is silent now. Even the gentle trickle of the atrium fountain seems muted, softened by the late hour. Marcus sits on the edge of a low bench in a shadowed corner of the kitchen, the fire long since reduced to glowing embers. The house has been secured, lamps extinguished, trays and surfaces polished, every task completed, every detail attended to. For the first time in hours, he allows himself a pause. Night in Rome brings a different kind of clarity. The city outside has quieted, yet it hums faintly with distant sounds, a cart rolling on cobblestones, a dog barking in the shadows, the soft murmur of a late wanderer. Inside, the silence is heavier, more intimate, offering space for thought. Marcus leans back, feeling the exhaustion settle into his bones, but also a rare sense of calm. He reflects on the day's labors, the errands through bustling streets, the meals prepared in sweltering kitchens, the careful presentation of platters and lamps, the constant vigilance required to maintain order. Each action had its purpose, and yet most of it remained invisible, unacknowledged. Still, Marcus understands the value of his work. The household depends on his efforts, and in that there is quiet pride. In the darkness, memories rise unbidden. He thinks of earlier mornings, waking before dawn, stepping carefully over sleeping co-slaves, feeling the chill of the stone floor, listening to the whispers of the night. He remembers the smell of bread baking in the street ovens, the faint tang of garum in the kitchens, and the distant clamor of the forum before the sun had fully risen. Rome had always been alive, but never so palpable as in those early quiet hours. Marcus reflects on the household itself, a microcosm of the empire. Masters and guests live in elegance and leisure, their concerns distant from the physical labor that sustains their lives. Slaves move through it unseen, carrying, polishing, cooking, arranging, cleaning, invisible threads holding a complex tapestry together. In these quiet hours, Marcus recognizes the paradox. He is powerless in the world of the master, yet indispensable to its functioning. Thought drifts to the streets of Rome, which he traversed that afternoon. The chaos, the noise, the bustling humanity, merchants shouting, animals braying, children darting between carts, all of it teeming with life. And yet he knows that even there, invisible structures guide behavior. Customs, expectations, hierarchy, all unseen, yet shaping every step and gesture. He wonders how many of those bustling citizens have any idea of the invisible labor that makes their city run. He thinks of his fellow slaves, some resting now, some still tending small tasks. Each has a story, each carries fatigue, worry, and quiet pride. Together, they form an invisible network, sustaining both the household and, in some small way, the rhythm of the city itself. Marcus smiles faintly. They are unseen, yes, but profoundly connected, each dependent on the other. Even in the shadows, there is room for small humor in his thoughts. He remembers Lucius tripping over a rug earlier, spilling a tray of figs, and the frantic, silent scramble to save the situation without drawing the steward's ire. Or the cook, who, exhausted and slightly careless, had nearly dropped a pot of boiling oil, only for Marcus to intervene at the last second. Life as a slave is a constant balancing act, one part skill, one part vigilance, and one part quiet luck. He considers the cycles of life, day turning to night, night into day, and the endless repetition of labor. There is monotony, yes, but also rhythm, mastery, and subtle artistry. Each day mirrors the last, yet is unique. A new guest, a different errand, a different dish to prepare. The constancy provides structure in a world where freedom is denied. And in that structure, Marcus finds small pockets of satisfaction in a polished lamp, a perfectly arranged platter, or a garden swept clean of leaves. Marcus allows himself to dream briefly, imagining the world beyond his duties. He pictures himself walking freely through the streets without errand or burden, tasting bread fresh from the baker's oven, observing the forum at leisure, feeling the sun on his back without worry of the household's endless demands. The image is fleeting, like smoke in the cool night air. Yet it reminds him that, even within constraints, the mind can wander, and small joys can be imagined and cherished. He listens to the quiet sounds of the house, each one familiar and comforting. The soft drip of water from the fountain, the occasional creak of settling wood, the distant rustle of leaves in the atrium garden. All are proof that the household lives even in the absence of masters or guests. Marcus is part of that life, shaping it, subtly, gently, invisibly. He takes solace in the knowledge that without his vigilance, without his care, the house could not maintain its rhythm. Thoughts drift again to Rome, sprawling and noisy, chaotic and alive. The domus is a small world within it, orderly and controlled, yet dependent on the invisible labor of slaves like Marcus. He feels a quiet kinship with the city, recognizing in its pulse a reflection of his own life, persistent, unnoticed, but essential. The streets, markets, baths, and temples all depend on rhythm, hierarchy, and vigilance, invisible hands that guide the chaos just as his guide the household. As midnight stretches onward, Marcus feels fatigue settle deep into his bones. His eyes sting from the candlelight, his back aches from standing and bending, his hands are raw from polishing and carrying. Yet there is pride in that fatigue, a quiet acknowledgement that his labor matters, even if unseen. Each day's work, each night's vigilance, is a small assertion of skill and resilience in a world that demands both without acknowledgement. Finally, he allows himself a moment of stillness, leaning back against the cool stone wall. The night is deep, the household quiet, the city beyond only faintly audible. For a few minutes, he simply breathes, feeling the pulse of life around him, the rhythm of the house he helps sustain, and the subtle continuity of Rome itself. In these midnight musings, Marcus recognizes his place in the world, unseen, often unremarked upon, yet essential. His labor is invisible, repetitive, exhausting, and sometimes unthankful, yet it maintains order, sustains life, and allows the illusions of wealth and civility to flourish. He is part of the pulse of the city, the quiet engine that drives the household, and, in some small measure, the empire itself. As the night stretches onward, Marcus closes his eyes briefly. Tomorrow will bring errands, meals, preparation, service, and vigilance once more. But in this quiet hour, he rests in thought, reflection, and awareness. He has done his part. He has shaped the day, preserved the night, and held the household together with invisible hands. Outside, Rome sleeps fitfully, streets dim and silent. Inside, the domus rests, alive with memory and anticipation. And in the shadows, Marcus smiles faintly, a quiet guardian, a silent observer, a tireless participant in the rhythm of life. Tonight he dreams not of freedom, but of purpose, order, and the subtle artistry of labor that makes the world turn.
The first hint of light seeps over the horizon, brushing the tops of Rome's temples and rooftops with pale gold. The city is still, quiet, and almost magical in the early hour, a world on pause, holding its breath before the chaos of day begins. For Marcus, it is time to wake. He rises from his straw mattress, the chill of the stone floor greeting him like an unwelcome friend. His muscles ache from the previous day's labor, yet instinct and habit move him forward. He adjusts his tunic, rubs the sleep from his eyes, and steps quietly into the narrow corridor. Even before the sun fully rises, the rhythm of duty calls. The first task is the kitchen. Smoke from the hearth drifts lazily through the air as fire is stoked for the morning meal. Coals glow, and the faint scent of yesterday's herbs lingers, mingling with the sharp tang of fish sauce. Marcus moves efficiently, carrying water, checking the pots, and ensuring that the flames burn steadily. The koki are already awake, as they have been for hours, their bodies moving with precision in the sweltering heat. Marcus silently admires their skill, a kind of artistry, repetitive yet beautiful. The streets outside are beginning to stir. A donkey brays, a cart rumbles over cobblestones, and a lone baker wheels a cart of fresh bread toward the forum. Marcus pauses briefly at the open atrium door, inhaling the crisp morning air. There is a freshness to the pre-dawn, a pause before the city truly wakes. Merchants are yet to shout, children are yet to chase each other, and the forum is still mostly silent. But Marcus knows it will not last. Rome never truly sleeps, and soon the streets will pulse with life. He begins errands for the household, moving quickly and silently through the narrow lanes. Street vendors begin arranging their goods, fruits, bread, olives, jars of honey, and the ubiquitous fish sauce that dominates both scent and conversation. Marcus moves between them, carrying small parcels, exchanging coins, and navigating the awakening city with practiced ease. Each step is deliberate, each pause measured. Chaos is imminent, yet for now there is a quiet beauty in the city's slow unfolding. The forum awakens gradually. A senator strides past in a flowing toga, his sandals echoing against the stone. Merchants begin their calls, announcing fresh olives, fish, and pottery. Children run ahead of their mothers, laughing, shrieking, dodging between carts and animals. Dogs weave in and out, noses sniffing, tails wagging. Marcus navigates it all with the precision of someone who knows every inch of these streets, who knows the rhythm hidden beneath the surface chaos. Along the way, Marcus glimpses temples opening their doors for the morning rituals. Priests light incense, and worshippers slip in to leave coins, offer prayers, or murmur invocations to the gods. The scent of burning frankincense drifts down the streets, mingling with smoke from the bakeries and the sharp tang of the fish sauce. Rome is alive in layers, each one carrying sound, scent, and motion. Marcus moves through them all, silent yet essential, a thread connecting household needs to the pulse of the city. By mid-pre-dawn, the market is fully awake. The noise rises, the air thickens with the smell of bread, roasted meats, herbs, and animals. Marcus exchanges words with familiar merchants, brief, polite greetings, before moving on.
Baskets of fresh fruit are loaded carefully onto carts, and trays of bread steam in the cool morning air. The city is a living organism, chaotic yet orderly, and Marcus is part of its invisible skeleton, keeping the day's first errands flowing smoothly. He stops briefly near a fountain in the forum, watching a pair of children chase a stray chicken. Their laughter rings clear and innocent, a sharp contrast to the structured, demanding life of the adults around them. Marcus allows himself a small smile, thinking, one day, perhaps, they will know the joy of running unburdened. For now he moves on, carrying bread, wine, and herbs for the household, aware that the small joys of others are luxuries he cannot afford. Back at the domus, the atrium is bathed in the first golden rays of sun. The lamps have cooled from the night, the polished floors glint in quiet reflection, and the fountains sparkle like liquid silver. Marcus enters with a bundle of goods, placing them carefully in the kitchen and setting the stage for the morning meal. The Koki nod briefly, acknowledging his presence, and the rhythm of the household resumes. He notices the quiet artistry of the house in the morning light. The mosaics of gods and heroes glint, the bronze statues catch the sun just so, and the cushions and rugs are aligned perfectly. The illusion of perfection is maintained not by magic but by hands like his, moving quietly and endlessly. Marcus allows himself a moment to appreciate it. Rome's grandeur is both visible and invisible, built as much by effort unseen as by marble and gold. The morning continues with preparations for the day ahead. Bread is sliced, water jugs filled, and coals stoked in anticipation of the first breakfast. The mistress, Domitia, will soon appear, followed by the household steward and the first visitors of the day. Marcus moves through the kitchen and atrium with precision, placing herbs, adjusting lamps, and ensuring that every tray and surface meets the invisible standard of perfection. As the city outside grows louder, Marcus reflects on the cycle of life in Rome. Yesterday, the day began with errands. The evening ended in guests and ceremonies. Night brought vigilance. Now pre-dawn signals a new beginning. The rhythm is endless, yet comforting. He knows the streets, the markets, the temples, the baths, and the household. He knows where chaos will arise, where order must be imposed, and where small gestures, a straightened rug, a polished lamp, a careful step, sustain the illusion of elegance. Finally, he pauses at the atrium garden, inhaling the scent of mint, laurel, and damp earth. The city is waking now, the distant clang of a cart, a dog's bark, the faint call of a vendor. The sun rises higher, brushing the rooftops, painting the city in gold and orange. Marcus feels the pulse of Rome in these small moments, a rhythm of life, labor, and unseen hands that shape both the household and, in his own quiet way, of Rome itself. The pre-dawn tasks may seem small, repetitive, and invisible, yet Marcus knows they are essential. Without errands run, water carried, herbs placed, and lamps lit, the household would falter. Without his steps in the quiet streets, the household would stumble into disorder. And so, as the city stretches into full wakefulness, Marcus moves steadily, silently, and with purpose, the invisible heartbeat of both the domus and, in his own quiet way, of Rome itself.
The sun has climbed higher, spilling gold across the rooftops and streets of Rome. The city, once quiet in pre-dawn stillness, now thrums with life. Merchants shout over one another, carts rattle over uneven stones, and animals weave unpredictably through the chaos. For Marcus and the household slaves, this is the hour of organized chaos, the morning rush.
The kitchen is already hot, steamy, and pungent. Kulki chop, stir, and baste, their movements precise but hurried. Marcus moves among them, carrying trays, water, and ingredients, ensuring that everything is in place for the first meal of the day. The air is thick with the scent of roasted meat, fried fish, herbs, and the unmistakable tang of garum. It's overwhelming, yet invigorating, a kind of fragrant chaos that signals the start of the day. Marcus glances at Lucius, the younger slave, who is balancing a tray of bread rolls with the sort of nervous energy only youth can produce. Lucius teeters slightly on the polished floor. Marcus catches the tray just in time, steadying it, and mutters under his breath, "One day you'll learn this floor has a mind of its own." Lucius laughs nervously, and Marcus allows himself a small smile. Even in endless labor, there is room for quiet humor. Outside, the streets of Rome are alive. Vendors hawk olives, wine, bread, and fresh fruit. Donkeys and carts jostle impatiently. Citizens, senators, and beggars share the same paths, navigating a city that is chaotic, yet strangely ordered. Marcus moves deftly through this human maze, carrying messages, parcels, and fresh ingredients, invisible, yet essential to the rhythm of life. Back inside, the atrium is transformed. Cushions are plumped, rugs straightened, and lamps adjusted to catch the morning light. The fountain glitters, reflecting sunbeams across mosaics depicting gods and heroes. Every surface is polished, every corner inspected. Marcus moves quickly, checking that nothing is out of place. The household's appearance must remain flawless, even as the chaos of the city presses in on all sides. The first meal is ready, and Marcus and the Kulki carry trays into the triclinium. Silver platters gleam, bread is arranged just so, and the aroma of herbs and roasted meats fills the room. The masters and their children arrive, dressed and composed, moving through the morning rituals as if the labor behind the meal did not exist. Marcus serves quietly, noting the subtleties of etiquette, a hand raised, a nod, a slight turn of the head. The dance is delicate, and he knows every step. Outside, the market grows louder. Merchants shout, children scream and chase one another. Dogs bark, and carts clang against stones. Marcus moves carefully between vendors, listening for familiar voices, keeping track of parcels, ensuring everything reaches its destination on time. Each errand is like a note in a larger symphony. Missed steps would cause dissonance, and he cannot afford mistakes. Back in the household, minor crises unfold. A cushion slips, a tray wobbles, a jar threatens to tip. Marcus moves swiftly to correct each mishap, a conductor of invisible chaos. Sweat drips down his back. His muscles ache, yet he moves with practiced efficiency. Every gesture is deliberate, each step measured, ensuring the rhythm of the household continues without faltering. He glances at the garden briefly, noting a fallen leaf, a droplet of water on a marble path. Even these small details matter. The illusion of perfection requires attention to the minutiae. Marcus brushes the leaf aside, feeling the faint satisfaction of order restored. In a household like this, even minor deviations from perfection are magnified, and he takes pride in maintaining the facade. Outside, the city presses in through open windows and doors. Street vendors carry trays of figs, loaves of bread, and jars of honey. Slaves from neighboring domus run errands, exchanging greetings in brief, hushed tones. The forum is alive with voices, movement, and energy, a mirror of the controlled chaos Marcus navigates inside. Both worlds are interconnected, each depending on unseen hands to maintain rhythm and order. As the morning meal concludes, Marcus clears tables, carries dishes back to the kitchen, and prepares for the midday work. There is little time to rest. The day unfolds without pause. He observes the Kulki, who move like clockwork despite fatigue, and Lucius, who has finally gained confidence in balancing trays and navigating floors. Small victories are celebrated silently in the minds of those who perform them. The atrium is tidied again. cushions straightened, lamps adjusted, and floors swept. The mistress's robes are arranged, the children's sandals checked, and the household returns to a temporary calm. Marcus pauses, noticing how sunlight now dances across polished bronze and silver, illuminating mosaics with patterns that shift as the day progresses. Even in chaos, there is beauty, fleeting, precise, and dependent on hands like his. Outside, the city roars, merchants haggle, customers argue, and animals jostle in the streets. Marcus moves through this living organism with practiced skill, carrying messages, delivering goods, and observing the pulse of Rome. He is part of the rhythm, an invisible thread connecting chaos to order, city to household, day to night. By late morning, preparations for midday meals begin. Fresh ingredients are chopped, fires stoked, and trays arranged. Marcus coordinates quietly, anticipating needs, correcting missteps, and maintaining rhythm. Every step matters, every detail contributes to the illusion of effortless elegance for the household and its masters. For Marcus, the morning rush is exhausting and exhilarating. He is immersed in the pulse of the city and the household simultaneously, moving between them like a shadow that keeps time. His work is invisible, but without it, chaos would overtake the elegance of the domus and the rhythm of life. Every tray carried, every lamp lit, every floor polished, ensures that life continues smoothly, unseen, essential, and profound. As he pauses briefly in the atrium, watching sunlight glint on the fountain and the morning shadows stretch long across mosaics, Marcus reflects, the day has only just begun. Rome is awake, bustling, chaotic, and alive, and he is at the heart of it, an unseen force, a silent orchestrator, a vital, invisible thread in the grand tapestry of the city.
The sun has climbed higher, spilling gold across the rooftops and streets of Rome. The city, once quiet in pre-dawn stillness, now thrums with life. Merchants shout over one another, carts rattle over uneven stones, and animals weave unpredictably through the chaos. For Marcus and the household slaves, this is the hour of organized chaos, the morning rush. The kitchen is already hot, steamy and pungent. Cookweed chop, stir, and baste, their movements precise but hurried. Marcus moves among them, carrying trays, water, and ingredients, ensuring that everything is in place for the first meal of the day. The air is thick with the scent of roasted meat, fried fish, herbs, and the unmistakable tang of garum. It's overwhelming, yet invigorating, a kind of fragrant chaos that signals the start of the day. Marcus glances at Lucius, the younger slave, who is balancing a tray of bread rolls with the sort of nervous energy only youth can produce. Lucius teeters slightly on the polished floor. Marcus catches the tray just in time, steadying it, and mutters under his breath, "One day you'll learn this floor has a mind of its own." Lucius laughs nervously, and Marcus allows himself a small smile. Even in endless labor, there is room for quiet humor. Outside, the streets of Rome are alive. Vendors hawk olives, wine, bread, and fresh fruit. Donkeys and carts jostle impatiently. Citizens, senators, and beggars share the same paths, navigating a city that is chaotic yet strangely ordered. Marcus moves deftly through this human maze, carrying messages, parcels, and fresh ingredients, invisible yet essential to the rhythm of life. Back inside, the atrium is transformed. Cushions are plumped, rugs straightened, and lamps adjusted to catch the morning light. The fountain glitters, reflecting sunbeams across mosaics depicting gods and heroes. Every surface is polished, every corner inspected. Marcus moves quickly, checking that nothing is out of place. The household's appearance must remain flawless, even as the chaos of the city presses in on all sides. The first meal is ready, and Marcus and the Coqui carry trays into the triclinium. Silver platters gleam, bread is arranged just so, and the aroma of herbs and roasted meats fills the room.
The masters and their children arrive, dressed and composed, moving through the morning rituals as if the labor behind the meal did not exist. Marcus serves quietly, noting the subtleties of etiquette: a hand raised, a nod, a slight turn of the head. The dance is delicate, and he knows every step. Outside, the streets of Rome aggravate. Merchants shout, children scream and chase one another, donkeys bark and carts clang against stones. Marcus moves carefully between vendors, listening for familiar voices, keeping track of parcels, ensuring everything reaches its destination on time. Each errand is like a note in a larger symphony. Missed steps would cause dissonance, and he cannot afford mistakes. Back in the household, minor crises unfold. A cushion slips, a tray wobbles, a jar threatens to tip. Marcus moves swiftly to correct each mishap, a conductor of invisible chaos. Sweat drips down his back, his muscles ache, yet he moves with practiced efficiency. Every gesture is deliberate, each step measured, ensuring the rhythm of the household continues without faltering. He glances at the garden briefly, noting a fallen leaf, a droplet of water on a marble path. Even these small details matter. The illusion of perfection requires attention to the minutiae. Marcus brushes the leaf aside, feeling the faint satisfaction of order restored. In a household like this, even minor deviations from perfection are magnified, and he takes pride in maintaining the facade. The city outside presses in through open windows and doors. Vendors carry trays of figs, loaves of bread, and jars of honey. Slaves from neighboring domus run errands, exchanging greetings in brief, hushed tones. The forum is alive with voices, movement, and energy, a mirror of the controlled chaos Marcus navigates inside. Both worlds are interconnected, each depending on unseen hands to maintain rhythm and order. As the morning meal concludes, Marcus clears tables, carries dishes back to the kitchen, and prepares for the midday work. There is little time to rest. The day unfolds without pause. He observes the Coqui, who move like clockwork despite fatigue, and Lucius, who has finally gained confidence in balancing trays and navigating floors. Small victories are celebrated silently in the minds of those who perform them. The atrium is tidied again. Cushions straightened, lamps adjusted, floors swept. The mistress's robes are arranged, the children's sandals checked, and the household returns to a temporary calm. Marcus pauses, noticing how sunlight now dances across polished bronze and silver, illuminating mosaics with patterns that shift as the day progresses. Even in chaos, there is beauty, fleeting, precise, and dependent on hands like his. Outside, the city roars. Merchants haggle, customers argue, and animals jostle in the streets. Marcus moves through this living organism with practiced skill, carrying messages, delivering goods, and observing the pulse of Rome. He is part of the rhythm, an invisible thread connecting chaos to order, city to household, day to night. By late morning, preparations for midday meals begin. Fresh ingredients are chopped, fires stoked, and trays arranged. Marcus coordinates quietly, anticipating needs, correcting missteps, and maintaining rhythm. Every step matters. Every detail contributes to the illusion of effortless elegance for the household and its masters. For Marcus, the morning rush is both exhausting and exhilarating. He is immersed in the pulse of the city and the household simultaneously, moving between them like a shadow that keeps time. His work is invisible, but without it, chaos would overtake the elegance of the domus and the rhythm of life. Every tray carried, every lamp lit, every floor polished ensures that life continues smoothly, unseen, essential, and profound. As he pauses briefly in the atrium, watching sunlight glint on the fountain and the morning shadows stretched long across mosaics, Marcus reflects. The day has only just begun. Rome is awake, bustling, chaotic, and alive, and he is at the heart of it, an invisible force, a silent orchestrator, a vital, invisible thread in the grand tapestry of the city.
The sun dips low behind Rome's rooftops, painting the city in gold, amber, and fading pinks. Shadows stretch across the streets, the atrium, and the mosaics that depict gods, heroes, and mythic battles frozen in tile. For Marcus, the day approaches its final act. Evening descends slowly, bringing both fatigue and reflection, a quiet closure to the relentless rhythm of labor. Inside the domus, the atrial lamps flicker to life. The Quoki stoke fires in preparation for the evening meal, while junior slaves fetch water, polish silver, and arrange fresh herbs for presentation. The smell of roasted meats, sweet bread, and pungent garum fills the kitchen and atrium alike. Marcus moves among them, checking, adjusting, and coordinating, the conductor of an invisible orchestra, ensuring the house functions like clockwork. Outside, Rome is alive with its evening pulse. Merchants pack up, carts rattle toward the outskirts, children tire and are called home, and distant voices echo across the forum. The city is chaotic yet controlled, a mirror of the household within. Marcus observes it briefly, noting the rhythm and energy, before stepping back into the ordered world of the domus. Here, the chaos is tamed, the world shaped by unseen hands. Marcus reflects on the cycle of the day. Dawn brought errands and preparation. Morning brought meals and activity. Midday offered quiet, maintenance, and reflection. Now evening returns to motion, service, and care. Each phase demands attention, effort, and vigilance. The day has been long, repetitive, and physically taxing, yet it is defined by purpose and subtle artistry. Every tray carried, every lamp lit, every cushion straightened contributes to the life of the household. In the triclinium, the first guests arrive. The table is set with precision, platters gleam, bread is arranged, sauces glimmer in small dishes. Marcus ensures everything is in order before stepping back to serve quietly, anticipating the needs of the masters and guests. Each movement is deliberate, unnoticed yet crucial. The illusion of effortless elegance depends on hands like his, moving constantly but invisibly. While the masters converse and dine, Marcus and the Quoki quietly consume their own small meal, remnants of the feast they have prepared. The food is modest: bread, olives, small scraps of meat, and the occasional roasted vegetable. They eat quickly, silently, efficiently, a brief respite before the night's work resumes. Marcus listens to the muted sounds of conversation, the clink of silver, and the occasional laughter. Life in the domus moves on around him, and he is both participant and observer. After the meal, the afternoon errands continue. Trays are cleared, surfaces polished, fires managed, and lamps checked. Marcus moves through the atrium, garden, and corridors, ensuring that everything remains in its proper place. Even in exhaustion, he performs each task with precision. There is pride in invisible labor, pride in order, stability, and the subtle artistry of daily work. The household begins to quiet once more, preparing for night. The mistress retires to her chambers, the children to theirs. Marcus performs a final inspection. Doors locked, windows secured, shutters closed. Lamps are trimmed, embers managed, and the kitchen prepared for the following day. The house breathes in the calm, alive yet subdued, maintained by invisible hands that will soon rest only briefly before the next dawn. Marcus pauses near the household shrine, adjusting a lamp, ensuring offerings remain fresh, and straightening the small figurines of the Lares. In the flickering light, he reflects on the day's labor. Service, vigilance, and care have defined his life, invisible to most, essential to all. There is satisfaction in the knowledge that the household functions smoothly,
that the rhythm of life continues uninterrupted. Even in invisibility, his presence is vital. Outside, the city softens in the evening light. Dogs grow quiet, distant carts slow, and Rome's pulse slows to a gentle rhythm. Marcus steps briefly into the atrium garden, feeling the cooling breeze, inhaling the scent of mint, laurel, and damp earth. The fountains glimmer in the fading light. Shadows dance lazily across the floor, and the house feels alive in its quiet grandeur. It is a fleeting moment of peace before the night watch resumes. Even as fatigue settles, Marcus takes satisfaction in small victories. A polished lamp, a straightened cushion, a clean floor. These are the tangible outcomes of invisible effort. Each task, though repetitive, ensures continuity, beauty, and order. The household, like the city, depends on subtle care and unseen diligence. In these moments, Marcus understands the profound impact of his labor. Night approaches fully. The lamps burn low, and the Quoki and junior slaves retire to brief rest. Marcus remains, walking silently through corridors, inspecting doors and surfaces one last time. The house is secure, orderly, and ready for the next day. Shadows stretch across mosaics and statues, blending light and dark, movement and stillness, past and present. Marcus allows himself a moment to simply listen. The faint drip of fountains, the distant murmur of Rome, and the soft rustle of leaves in the atrium garden. In this quiet, he reflects on his place in the world. Invisible, unacknowledged, yet indispensable, the paradox of his life. The grandeur of the household, the illusion of effortless elegance, the rhythm of daily life all rely on his labor. And though the world may never see it, Marcus feels pride in the invisible artistry of service, in the skillful maintenance of order, in the quiet mastery of the household. Finally, he sits on a low bench in a corner near the kitchen, watching the flickering lamps. The night deepens, and the city grows stiller, though never entirely silent. Marcus allows himself to close his eyes briefly, reflecting on the day, errands, meals, vigilance, labor, and the quiet artistry that has carried the household through yet another day. The domus breathes, secure and alive, held in balance by the invisible hands of its slaves. Marcus leans back, exhausted but content. Rome outside sleeps fitfully, streets empty but alive with memory and anticipation. The household rests, the Quoki dream, the junior slaves slumber, and Marcus knows that soon dawn will come again, beginning the cycle anew. He smiles faintly in the flickering light. His labor is repetitive, exhausting, invisible, yet essential. The rhythm of life, the pulse of the household, and the unseen structure of the city all depend on him and his fellow slaves. And in this quiet understanding, Marcus finds a deep, subtle satisfaction. The day is done, the night stretches on, and Marcus rests, ready to rise again with the city, the household, and the invisible rhythm that defines his life.